humans taste terrible, spat the Gorgon fleet commander, a tentacle recoiling in disgust. The Galactic Council had convened for an emergency session, their chamber echoing with heated debates and the frantic buzzing of diplomats. They were facing a dire situation. The humans, those seemingly innocuous inhabitants of the third planet in the Sol system, had proved themselves to be an existential threat to every sentient species in the galaxy. "We warned you," bellowed High Chancellor Xyler, his multifaceted eyes glaring at the assembly. "The humans are not to be underestimated, yet you dismissed our warnings as paranoia." The assembly, filled with representatives from over 100 different species, was a cacophony of clicks, hisses, and guttural growls. Each species had its own language, its own way of expressing fear and outrage. But today all of these varied sounds converged into a singular tone of apprehension. The humans, mere centuries after achieving space travel, had already laid waste to several star systems. Their ships, bristling with advanced weaponry and driven by an unyielding resolve, had cut through the galaxy like a hot blade through gelatinous hyperflesh. Entire fleets had been decimated, colonies reduced to rubble, and ancient civilizations brought to their knees. "It's not just their technology," hissed Admiral Vet, his serpentine body coiled in agitation. "It's their unpredictability. One moment they offer peace, the next they launch a full-scale assault. They do not adhere to any known protocols of war." "Precisely," Xyler replied, his voice a chilling calm amidst the storm. "They are the embodiment of chaos. Their culture thrives on conflict and innovation. Each defeat only makes them stronger, more cunning." Across the chamber, General Threk of the Dalian Dominion rose, his exoskeleton shimmering under the Council's lights. "Our attempts at diplomacy have failed. We must consider more drastic measures. Perhaps a unified strike to annihilate their home world." "Foolishness," roared Zarn, the Urkan ambassador, his voice deep and resonant. "Have you not seen their resilience? Destroy one of their cities, and they rebuild it stronger. Bombard their planet, and they retaliate with even greater ferocity. We must find another way." As the debate raged on, a holographic projection flickered to life in the center of the chamber. It displayed a recent battle, the humans' fleet against the combined forces of the Varks and Torion. The humans, outnumbered and outgunned, had utilized a series of unorthodox tactics that turned the tide in their favor. Their ships danced through the void with impossible agility, their weapon systems adapting on the fly to counter every move of their adversaries. The council members watched in horrified fascination as the human flagship, the UNS Intrepid, rammed into the Tone battleship, detonating its reactor and causing a catastrophic explosion that took out half the enemy fleet. "The audacity of such a move was beyond comprehension," Xyler explained. "Our intelligence reports indicate they call this maneuver a kamikaze, a tactic from their ancient history. They are willing to sacrifice themselves for victory, something we cannot comprehend." "Then what are we to do?" inquired Ambassador Crick, his three eyes blinking in unison. "How can we combat an enemy that defies all logic and reason?" Before Xyler could respond, the chamber doors burst open. A battered and bloodied scout staggered in, his breathing labored. "The humans, they are here." Panic erupted within the chamber. Council members scrambled for exits, their fear palpable. Xyler tried to maintain order, but it was too late. The humans had arrived, and they brought with them a wrath unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. Captain James Hawk of the UNS Intrepid stood on the bridge of his ship, staring at the chaotic scene displayed on the main screen. The Galactic Council chamber was in disarray, diplomats and generals fleeing like rats abandoning a sinking ship. He couldn't help but smirk. "Looks like we made quite an entrance," he remarked to his first officer, Lieutenant Commander Brooks. "They never saw it coming, sir." Brooks, a stoic and disciplined officer, nodded. "Our cloaking technology has proven invaluable." "Indeed," Hawk replied, his eyes gleaming with the thrill of the hunt. "Prepare the boarding parties." I want their leadership captured alive, if possible. Brooks saluted and relayed the orders throughout the ship. Marines geared up, their faces grim and determined. The humans were here, not just to fight, but to dominate. As the boarding pods launched, piercing the hull of the Galactic Council's flagship, Hawk reflected on the journey that had brought humanity to this point. They had been underestimated, ridiculed even, by the so-called superior races of the galaxy. But humanity had a way of turning adversity into strength. Every challenge, every setback had only served to forge them into a more formidable force. Remember, Hawk's voice echoed through the comms. We are here to send a message. The age of human submission is over. We are the apex predators of this galaxy now. The boarding pods hit their targets with pinpoint precision. Marines poured out, weapons blazing, overwhelming the alien defenders with ruthless efficiency. The council members, who had once debated humanity's fate, now found themselves at the mercy of the very species they had sought to control. Hawk watched the chaos unfold, a sense of grim satisfaction settling over him. The galaxy had warned each other about humans, but no one had truly understood the tenacity and ingenuity of his people. Now, they would all learn the hard way. Sir, we've secured the council chamber, Brooks reported, his voice crackling over the comm. The leaders are being rounded up as we speak. Excellent, Hawk replied, a predatory smile spreading across his face. It's time we had a little chat with our esteemed hosts. As he made his way to the transport pod, Hawk knew that this was just the beginning. The war for the galaxy was far from over, but humanity had made its intentions clear. They would fight, adapt, and ultimately, they would prevail. The other species would have no choice but to fear the humans, for they had awoken a force that could not be contained. And so, as the UNS Intrepid held its position above the Galactic Council's capital, Captain Hawk prepared to deliver humanity's message. We are here, and we are not afraid. The air in the Galactic Council chamber was thick with tension as Captain Hawk strode in, flanked by a squad of heavily armed Marines. The room, once a symbol of interstellar diplomacy, now stood as a testament to human supremacy. Alien dignitaries, shackled and defeated, lined the walls, their eyes filled with a mix of fear and bewilderment. Hawk scanned the room, his gaze settling on High Chancellor Xyler, the insectoid leader who once commanded respect and authority. Now, he appeared fragile and vulnerable. Chancellor Xyler, Hawk began, his voice cold and commanding. It seems your council's grand plans have unraveled. Xyler's mandibles clicked nervously. Captain Hawk, you must understand, our actions were driven by a desire for peace and stability in the galaxy. Peace. Hawk's laughter was a harsh bark. Your kind tried to exterminate us, to control and subjugate humanity. Now you face the consequences of your arrogance. Brooks, standing by Hawk's side, stepped forward. Captain, our troops have secured the entire facility. The council members are ready for interrogation. Good. Ensure they are treated appropriately. We need information on their military capabilities, their defenses, and their leader locations. As Brooks relayed the orders, Hawk turned his attention back to Xyler. Chancellor, you'll start by telling me everything about your allies' fleets and their strengths. And I suggest you cooperate, or the consequences will be unpleasant. Xyler hesitated, his compound eyes reflecting the steely determination in Hawk's gaze. We have nothing to hide. Our fleets are scattered, and many have already fallen to your relentless advance. Specifics, Chancellor. Hawk pressed, his patience waning. I want specifics. Reluctantly, Xyler began to divulge details about the Council's military assets, their strategic positions, and their remaining strongholds. Hawk listened intently, absorbing every piece of information, planning his next moves. On the bridge of the UNS Intrepid, the mood was electric. Officers and crew worked with a sense of purpose and urgency, knowing that their actions could determine the fate of humanity. Lieutenant Andrews, the ship's tactical officer, was coordinating the data received from the captured council members with their existing intelligence. Captain Andrews called out as Hawk re-entered the bridge. We've identified several key targets based on the intel provided by Xyler. There's a heavily fortified station on the outskirts of the Andromeda sector. It's a major hub for their supply lines. Hawk studied the holographic map displayed before him. What's our best approach, given their current state? We could launch a two-pronged assault, Andrews suggested. A direct attack to draw their defenses, while a second strike team infiltrates and sabotages their command center. Hawk nodded, appreciating the audacity of the plan. Prepare the fleet. We'll move out within the hour. As the crew sprang into action, Hawk turned to his first officer. Brooks, have the Marines ready for deployment. I want our best men on the infiltration team. Brooks saluted. Understood, Captain. I'll see to it personally. The human fleet moved with the precision of a well-oiled machine. Ships took their positions, ready to unleash their fury upon the unsuspecting enemy. The target, a sprawling space station bristling with defenses, loomed ahead. All units, this is Captain Hawk, he broadcasted to the fleet. Engage on my mark. Remember, our mission is to dismantle their operations and send a clear message. Humanity will not be trifled with. The order was given, and the human ships surged forward. The initial wave of attacks caught the station's defenders off guard. Explosions rippled through the void as human weaponry tore through shields and hulls alike. Meanwhile, Brooks led the infiltration team, their stealth pods slipping past the chaos and docking on the station's underbelly. The Marines moved swiftly, neutralizing guards and hacking into security systems. Their objective, the station's command center. Inside the command center, panic reigned. Alien officers scrambled to respond to the assault, their screens flashing with reports of the ongoing battle. Brooks and his team burst in, weapons raised. Hands where we can see them. Brooks barked, his voice broking no argument. The alien officers complied, their eyes wide with terror. Secure them, Brooks motioned to his men. We need access to their mainframe. As the Marines worked, Brooks connected to the UNS Intrepid. Captain, we've secured the command center. Downloading their data now. Excellent work, Lieutenant Commander, Hawk responded. Hold your position until we can extract you. The battle outside raged on, human ships methodically dismantling the station's defenses. The enemy's resistance was fierce, but disorganized, their cohesion shattered by the unexpected ferocity of the human attack. Back on the Intrepid, Andrews monitored the situation closely. Captain, the station's defenses are crumbling. We breached their second hangars. Hawk's eyes were fixed on the holographic display. Good. Begin the boarding operations. I want that station under our control by the end of the hour. The human Marines, bolstered by their initial successes, pushed deeper into the station. Room by room, corridor by corridor, they fought their way through, leaving no corner unchecked. The aliens, though numerous, were ill-prepared for the relentless assault. As Brooks and his team continued to download critical data, a sudden alert flashed on his visor. Captain, we're detecting a surge of power in the station's core. They might be attempting to self-destruct. Hawk's jaw tightened. Disable it. We need that station intact. Brooks and his tech specialist, Corporal Diaz, raced to the core, encountering fierce resistance along the way. The corridors were filled with the sounds of battle, blaster fire, the clang of metal, and the screams of the wounded. Finally, they reached the core, a massive structure pulsating with energy. Cover me, Corporal Diaz said as he began working on the control panel. This is going to take a few minutes. Brooks and the rest of the team formed a defensive perimeter, fending off waves of desperate alien defenders. Time seemed to stretch as Diaz worked furiously, the core's hum growing louder and more ominous. Diaz, we need that shutdown now, Brooks shouted, firing at an advancing alien soldier. Almost there, sir, Diaz replied, his fingers flying over the controls. Just a little more? With a final keystroke, the core's hum died down, replaced by a reassuring silence. Got it. The self-destruct is disabled. Brooks relayed the news to Hawk. Captain, the core is secure. The station is ours. Well done, Brooks, Hawk said, relief evident in his voice. Prepare for extraction. We'll need to assess the data you've gathered. As the human forces regrouped, the scale of their victory became clear. The alien station, once a hub of power and control, now lay firmly in human hands. The data retrieved would provide invaluable insights into the enemy's operations, bolstering humanity's strategic advantage. Hawk stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. The message was clear. Humanity was a force to be reckoned with, and they would stop at nothing to secure their place in the galaxy. The Council's warning had come too late. The humans were no longer the hunted. They had become the hunters.